a vision. I was standing on the side of a great river, and on the other side was a lost person. But the river between us was too strong, too powerful, and I knew that if I jumped in, I would quickly be swept away. That river was sin, and I could not cross it. But Jesus came, and I saw him out of the corner of my eye. He walked up to the river, dove in, and as the waters wrapped around him and engulfed him, the source of the river was cut off, and it disappeared. But left in its place was a giant chasm, once again impassable. And I began to despair because I could not take the message of Jesus Christ to this lost person. But I heard God say, "Throw yourself in the chasm." "Why, Lord?" I asked. And even as I said that, I began to see hundreds of nameless people running up to the chasm and thrusting themselves in. So in obedience, I did the same. Time went by. People kept throwing themselves in and making the ultimate sacrifice. And eventually a pile of bodies rose up from the abyss to the top of the canyon. And one man, one individual, walked up to the canyon, passed on the pile of bodies, reached the other side, and gave the message of Jesus Christ to the lost person. And I heard God say to me, sometimes the lost can only be reached by means of a bloody bridge. What if some of the people who God called to throw themselves in the canyon didn't do it? Either because they didn't think the job was good enough for them, or they didn't think they were good enough for the job. God's purpose would not have been accomplished. We are the people who limit God. So how can we have this faith? How can we live in God's will? Well, it's simple. Just have a relationship with Him. Have a personal, deep, intimate, life-changing relationship, and it changes everything and strengthens you to be part of the bloody bridge. It does this for two reasons. One, it gives you direction. God is the great I am, the creator, the Alpha and the Omega, and He wants all to hear His message. Like it says in Romans chapter 10, verse 14 and 15. How can they hear God's message if no one is preaching to them? And how can someone preach to them if they are not sent? Oftentimes, sending people means we have to be part of the bloody bridge. And we are simply following God's example. He started it. Look back to the vision. He was the first one to jump in there. We're just following His example and obeying His direction. That strengthens us to be part of the bloody bridge. Second, God gives us definition. A relationship with Him defines who we are. We cannot be defined by ourselves. We cannot be defined by success, by looks, by the culture, by our popularity. If we do, we will develop one of two things: pride or insecurity. Insecurity because we don't think that we're strong enough to be part of the bloody bridge. We don't think we have what it takes. We think we're imperfect. Or pride because, oh, that's not good enough. I want some credit. We must let God define us. Because if He does, you will have the strength to sacrifice everything you have and get no credit and no results, because you know that credit and results does not define who you are. God does. You have the strength to be part of the bloody bridge. There are opportunities right now. Look, speed the light. That's a way to sacrifice financially. Being part of the bloody bridge is not just a physical thing. It can be spiritual, mental, emotional. You have opportunities. Get involved in your community. Or even if you see someone in the hallway of your school who looks like they're down, give them a word of encouragement and tell them Jesus loves them. All can be game changers, life-changing parts of being the bloody bridge. God has called you to throw yourself into the chasm for Him and for the lost. Will you do it? Or will you leave them by themselves on the other side of that chasm? The choice is yours. Thank you.